Hi everybody, Chris here from Truly Holistic. In this video, we're going to talk about a product called the AIRWAY mask, which is, I'll show you straight away what that is, and that's it there. All right, it looks like a mouth if you see it like that, right? And now, why we call it a mask is because when you use it, you place it over like that, and we give you a strap that goes around, right? So you can strap it to your face, either that way or that way, whatever area you want to work on, contours. Now, of course, this is to help with your upper respiratory system in particular. So we're talking about the nasal cavities, the sinus cavities. We're talking about the mouth. We're talking about the oropharynx, right? The airway, right? Hence the word airway mask. Now, there are many ways we can look at that airway definition. Yes, it's helping us breathe, our airway, right? In this video, we're going to talk about regulation, right? Not only regulation in regards to your breathing, which is associated with breath work, but also regulating one's nervous system and how the nervous system connects with our breathing, but also many other aspects of our physiology. We're going to talk about how our lungs in particular, but the respiratory system is got a symbiotic relationship with the trees, right? But also about the energetics that this product facilitates, which is the air element. Okay, and how does it all fit in? But essentially, we made this product because one, to support the respiratory system in regards to someone's breathing, in regards to the regulation of their breathing, right? Which is not just talking about our airway or respiratory system, but wellness and vitality, consciousness. So we're going to get into that. When I made this and I started wearing it, I noticed my breathing, regulation of my breathing pattern changed and relaxed and calmed down. But I also noticed that I could breathe a lot easier, especially through when I breathe out, right? Which is very important for people that have got asthmatics, right? But also as I was breathing air in, that air had a cooling, it was like I was on the top of a mountain or higher up in altitude, where the air is fresher and it's cleaner. That's what I noticed when I wore this, and because you got to remember, what is breathing all about, right? And if we look into, okay, we're taking in oxygen, right? That when it passes this ring, because really we're talking about a tensor ring, tensor technology, it's also imparting the highest potential of what's within the air, right? We'll use the example of oxygen. We're activating oxygen, which is actually a clearing we do in the session work, which means to bring through the highest potential of oxygen. Because you got to remember, everything in this physical reality, the foundation of what it is, the projector of the projection, is consciousness. And consciousness is not something that is bound simply to one reality, one universe. It's multiversal. It's multi-reality based. It's multi-dimensional. So when we activate something, we're bringing through its multi-dimensional, its multiversal aspect of itself, which means, right, to bring in that bigger picture aspect of what that thing is, right, to bring through more of its highest potential. So this is what this product does. So let's start off with, I'm just going to bring this onto here. As you've seen with a lot of other videos, people have done sessions with me. I often talk about that every modality, every reality coaching insight, every product that we make, every self-imparted healing system is a byproduct of what I've learned through that map. That map's been super important. And as I said, I didn't get that from anyone else. That was intuitively guided to me. That is a map of your infinite nature, right? And what's important to note, yes, there's the word air, right, which is in the trunk of that tree, right? It's depicted as a tree. Your infinite nature consciousness is depicted as a tree. And of course, we're also going to be talking about the symbiotic relationship of the lungs respiratory system with trees, right? So that ties into this too, right? And you can notice that also the air element, because you can see the green earth and the white air and the blue water, fire and ether. These are all elements or elementals that are the makeup of yourself as a consciousness. And you'll notice that, air is connected to all these different generations. Now, generation means reality, right? So when we talk about a different universe, a different reality, on that map, it's determined by the word generation. So when we get into the air elements, that is the makeup of this product. It is connecting us into more of our higher wisdom and insight, which people refer to as a higher self or higher selves, right? And quite often, a practice that is used, right, to connect to that higher self is what people call mindfulness, but I don't like that term because it associates it to the mind when really the mind removes that. But meditation, right? When we apply meditation, and one of those conceptual principles of meditation is to focus on the breath, right? Association with our airway, our respiratory system. When we focus on our breath, we regain our self-awareness, which is pivotal into gaining that meditative state. And when we gain that meditative state, we connect into more of ourself, right? Considered to connect to our higher self, which is what we're talking about here on this ascension map is air. And why we feel clearer, why we have clarity, why we feel more peaceful, why we feel more connected in that state is because we are connected and facilitating more of ourself, not only an energy field, right, that expands our auric field here, but the insight and wisdom to forge our path, which I guess we could say is showing us the way, AIRWAY, right? So that's where that connects into. Okay. Now, let's bring up this one, the symbiotic relationship, right? Our lungs are essentially an upside down tree. Right? And the symbiotic relationship generally is that we breathe out carbon dioxide, right? And the tree breathes the carbon dioxide in, and then it gives off oxygen, and we breathe that oxygen in. It's a cycle, right? It's a symbiotic synergistic relationship. And as I mentioned, our infinite nature as a consciousness is depicted as a tree. Okay, right. So that's a really, really interesting aspect of that. Now, I'm going to bring this one up because look at this creature, right? And as it says, this creature lives in you and controls everything inside you. Now that's the nervous system. When it's stripped away, right? When somebody's passed away and is given up their body for science, right? And they strip one's nervous system away, including the brain. And as you can see on that image, you can see that the eyes are still attached because the eyes are very much part of the nervous system as well as the cardiovascular system, I might add. Why? And obviously it looks like it looks like an alien, right? And I quite often mention that, hey, when one is living through their nervous system, right, the nervous system is controlling their existence, right, as this implies, right? We are more mind orientated than we are heart centered. And as I just mentioned about gaining a meditative state, right, we're more connected to who we are. We have clarity. We have all these things that we cherish, right? It's because it's our natural state, which we call a state of being. When we get to a meditative state, the mind chatter dissipates, right? And the thoughts go away. Why? Because we're not using the pathway of the mind. We're not mind orientated, we're heart centered. But when we allow the mind and we follow the thoughts, we follow the mentalities of the mind, we lose our center of balance. We become imbalanced, and then we get overwhelmed, we get stressed, illness forms, and all so on, because we're not presenting our natural state. Now, what takes over is the nervous system. And it makes us never feel connected with ourselves and not connected with our surroundings, right? Our experience here on Earth. So you could say we are then extraterrestrial, meaning we don't feel connected or feel like we belong here. Because extraterrestrial, terra means Earth, and extra means not from here. Right? Okay. But the heart has a synergistic relationship with the Earth. Right? And when we're not in the heart, we're in the mind, we're in the head. Right? Which disconnects, as I say, our connection with ourselves, but also connection with the Earth, hence to be an extraterrestrial. Now, how this connects with breathing is that often when we lose our nervous system regulation, which just essentially means our balance, and as I said before, what presents our natural state? The heart, and hence what then shifts things into balance? The heart. When we're more in the head and mind, thought, mentality, we lose that. Okay. Which means we live through the nervous system. And I quite often say that's when we are a live wire, right? Meaning we're up, down, which is playing the game of duality, which is shifting from one polarity to the opposite, one extreme to the opposite, never finding that middle ground, which we call balance. And then that affects our breathing. Right. So we're finding more and more at Truly Holistic that there are two systemic systems that are most important. And that's the nervous system, the cardiovascular system. We're either living through the cardiovascular system, where our heart leads us to keep us in balance, or we're living through the nervous system and the mind is forging our experience, but we lose our balance. Okay. And the body needs that balance. It needs flow. Because when we have balance, we have flow in the body. When we have flow, we have balance. When we're living through the nervous system and the mind's leading and forging our experience, we lose our flow and we lose our balance. The very important things to maintain wellness and vitality of the body. Okay. Because everything just goes out of balance, goes out of regulation when the nervous system is forging your path instead of the cardiovascular system. Okay. So again, when we come back to this mask, it's improving your breathing. Yes, it's improving your breathing. It's improving and bringing the highest potential of everything you breathe in and breathe out as well. But it's even more than that. It's connecting into more of yourself, right? Which is the word regulate, to bring things into balance. It's talking about flow. Again, all these things that the body thrives on. Okay, so important. So here's a photo of this with the straps on it. So we just connect some straps on there. And then you can slide the straps, from, if you want them there, right? And you want to wear the mask like that. And again, you can bend this and shape this, right, to the contours of your face. Or you can slide the band so they're on these, at the points, the connections like that, and then you can wear it like that. Okay. And you'll notice when you put this on immediately, okay, you can breathe deeper immediately, right? You can get a deeper inhalation, and you'll notice the effortless nature when you exhale as well. So this is wonderful for anybody that wants to breathe better, have regulation to their breathing, is an asthmatic, right, or has an upper respiratory tract problem. If you've got a cold, a flu, you've got congestion, very important, essential, because that will help bring flow into the area, right? Congestion is a lack of flow. So you bring more flow into that area, and again, you're going to clear all that up again. Now, what this also will do is, because when we're talking about congestion, right, the nasal sinus cavities, we're also talking about the role of the microbes, right? We've really emphasized this importance of balance, right? When we look at another very important component of what enables wellness and vitality of the body is realizing the faction of your physiology. And of course, we're talking about nasal cavities, sinus cavities in this example. We're also talking about the other faction, microbes, because your body then becomes a host to those microbes that exist inside and on your physiology. Now, what maintains a symbiotic and synergistic relationship there with that area of the body and the microbes where they're working together as one is to provide a balanced state and environment to that area. Okay, so when you wear this, that's what you're supporting, right? Because when we look at what modern medicine calls an infection, is when the relationship of that anatomy or physiology and the microbes no longer are working together. They have gone their opposite way to polarities, opposite polarities, right? Duality, the game of duality, which does not present balance. Okay. And now, right, the anatomy is not providing a supportive environment for the microbes to coexist and work with that anatomy. Okay. But when you wear this, that's what you support to bring them back together. So it's rectifying and remedying what we call an infection, right? So it's wonderful. Yes, it activates, brings the highest potential of oxygen and everything that you're breathing in and breathing out. It's providing more flow. It's providing balance, right? So to support an environment where the microbes work for in a beneficial way, that anatomy, not pathogenically where it's working against. Okay, so it does so many wonderful things. If you've got auditory system problems, place it over there like that, over the ear, in the auditory system. There's many ways you can utilize this product, but it's wonderful for breathing. It's wonderful for the airway. It's wonderful for the respiratory system. I wanted to do a video where we show the greater depths of what this product represents. And I feel like we've done that in this video. So go and make sure you go and check it out on my product store at trulyholistic.net/products/. If you've got respiratory problems, this is something you want to have about. If you have reoccurring infections when it comes to nasal and sinus infections, auditory ear infections, you're someone that just gets colds a lot and flus, let's say you've got a compromised immune system, this is something you need. This is something you want. So go and make sure you go and check it out on that product store. We're currently playing around. I'll show you this one. We're currently playing around with a even smaller wire gauge, right? This one's a 12 gauge. This one's 14 gauge. So you can see that the wire is a little bit thinner, and perhaps it's a little bit more pliable to mold and shape to your body. And it's a bit lighter on the body too. That in regards to feel. So we're playing around with that at the moment, but go make sure you check it out. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you really enjoyed this content. Until next time, catch you later.